Hello everyone, in this video we are just going to build an RGB LED dimmer using Raspberry Pi Pico W. Let's get started. So in the previous video we just interfaced an RGB LED module with Raspberry Pi Pico W, and in this video we are just going to build an RGB LED dimmer using the same Raspberry Pi Pico W. Let's discuss in detail about the schematic diagram that we are going to build in the RGB LED dimmer using Raspberry Pi Pico. So on the screen you can see the Raspberry Pi Pico development board, and here on the right bottom corner you can see the RGB LED module. So usually the RGB LED is a combined form of LED which will be containing three individual LEDs. One is red, green and blue. So all these three LEDs clubbed together to form a single light emitting diode is called a RGB LED, and you can get this particular LED individually as a component, and also you can get it as a module. So both of a component and a module will be having four terminals commonly. One is the ground terminal, which will be connecting it to ground of Raspberry Pi Pico, which is nothing but the cathode of all these three LEDs. So all the three LEDs will be having a common cathode, which will be ground of the module or the individual RGB LED component, and we will be connecting that to the ground of Raspberry Pi Pico. And blue terminal will be the anode of blue LED. I am just going to connect it to GP18 of Raspberry Pi Pico. Green terminal will be the anode of green LED. I am just going to connect it to GP17 of Raspberry Pi Pico, and the red terminal will be the anode of red LED. I am just going to connect it to GP16 of Raspberry Pi Pico. That's all. So that's all about the schematic that I am going to build in the breadboard for visualizing the output in the hardware. That is the interface of this particular RGB LED module to Raspberry Pi Pico output in my breadboard. So let's develop the Python scripts in Tony IDE for visualizing the output in the hardware. And coming to the software MicroPython part, on the screen you can see two different programs written in two different older videos of mine. One is interfacing of RGB LED module with Raspberry Pi Pico, and another one is building LED dimmer using Raspberry Pi Pico W. What I'm just going to do right over here is I'm just going to take this particular program, interfacing of RGB LED with Raspberry Pi Pico, creating a new program, Control N, and I'm pasting it right over here. Saving this. I'm going to the respective location where I want the program to be stored. Here RGB dimmer self. So in this program I'm just going to add the PWM module. So here from this LED dimmer I'm just going to copy paste this particular line for importing the PWM module or the library to the Python script, and here I am just going to copy this and paste it below this particular red, and here I am just going to rename this LED as red, and below this green LED configuration as output I am just going to do the same as I did for red. Green. Here I'm just going to do the same for blue. Now that we configured PWM module with the frequency of 5000 Hz for all the three pins to which the RGB LED is connected, 16, 17 and 18 GPIO. Now what we are going to do is we are just going to copy this particular these two lines from this dimmer program, and I'm going to paste it right over here. Now inside the while of true, that is infinite loop, I'm just going to write a for loop I in range 0, 65535, 100. So what this for loop does is it will start the I variable from 0 and runs till 65535 at an interval of each count to be 100. So for each increment, this particular loop will increment 100 times. And I am going to leave these two lines inside the for loop. But this particular variable right over here, I am just going to make it I, and this particular variable, I just want to rename this as red PWM, green underscore PWM, and here I am just going to rename it as blue underscore PWM, blue underscore PWM, green underscore PWM, red underscore PWM. Now I am just going to paste this red PWM right over here, and after this for loop I am just going to write another loop which will start from 65535 and ends in 0 with the same interval of 100. This time I am just going to paste the same red PWM duty I and a time of 2 millisecond. That's it. Now this loop right over here will increment the brightness of red LED from 0 to maximum brightness. That is, duty cycle will be increased from 0% to 100%, and this loop will decrement the duty cycle from maximum value to 0. That is 65535 to 0. So the same I am going to do it for green and blue LEDs also. That's all. So this will increment the brightness of red LED from 0 to 100% and again from 100% to 0% at an interval of 2 milliseconds for each step, and this loop will do the same for green LED and these two loops will do the same for blue LED. One loop for incrementing the brightness, another loop for decrementing the brightness. So at this cycle, the red LED will start the brightness from minimum to maximum and again from maximum to minimum it will turn off, and after these two loops this will start the green LED cycle where the green LED will increase the brightness from minimum to maximum and again from maximum to minimum, and similarly the blue LED will be doing the same operation using these two loops. And after the final loop, this loop will start because all these lines are written inside the while of true, that is infinite loop right over here. That's all. Be careful with the configuration. Just remember, I have configured the red LED with the name red, which is GP16, and it is configured as output pin, and the red underscore PWM variable is configured with red LED PWM module. Similarly, green PWM, blue PWM. And the PWM for all the pins is configured to be in 5000 Hz. Now I'm saving this and I'm running the program. I have already connected my Raspberry Pico to my laptop USB port and the circuit is built in the breadboard. And one more thing that I forgot here is I just want to give -100 in case of decrementing. So I'm giving all these -100. I'm saving the script. Now I'm running the script right over here. So this is the output that I got in the hardware. You can see each LED is building the brightness or incrementing the brightness from minimum to maximum and again from maximum to minimum. So each LED is varying its brightness, such as we have successfully built an RGB dimmer using Raspberry Pi Pico PWM module. So this is the output that I got in the hardware. See you in the next video. Thanks for watching.